Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss application of Gauss law. So first application of this Gauss law is deduction of Coulomb's law from Gauss law. So before starting this application or this derivation, so let's consider 2 point charges. 2 point charges Q2 and Q1. This Q2 and Q1 are kept at a distance r apart in vacuum. Therefore, force experienced by Q1 due to Q2 will be equal to force experienced by Q1 due to which charge? Due to Q2 is equal to F is equal to Q1 into E. Equation number 1. What is E here? E is electric field produced by this charge plus Q2. So there will be a force of repulsion between these two charges because nature of these two charges are exactly same. So direction or electric field produced by this charge plus Q2, which is a positive, so therefore electric field, direction of this electric field will be always radially outward. Okay, so now let's consider a Gaussian spherical surface with center at Q2 and of radius r, uh, such that this one is a Gaussian surface. So let's consider a Gaussian spherical surface with center Q2 and of radius small r. The Gaussian surface passes through the point P. Let's consider this point is P, at which a charge Q1 is placed here. So according to definition of Gauss law, according to definition of Gauss law, electric flux phi E is equal to 1 upon epsilon naught times total charge enclosed in that Gaussian surface. And what is the amount of charge which is enclosed in that Gaussian surface? Only Q2. Q1 is not that charge which is enclosed in the surface. Q1 is that charge which is placed on the surface of Gaussian surface. So charge enclosed in that Gaussian surface is only Q2. Equation number 2. And this phi can be also written as surface integral of electric field over a closed surface is equal to electric flux. Equation number 3. So if we compare from equation number 2 and equation number 3, means both are same. So if we equate these two, phi is equal to phi. So surface integral of electric field over a closed surface is equal to what? 1 upon epsilon naught times total charge enclosed in that Gaussian surface from equation number 2 and 3. So come to this diagram. Let's consider a small area element ds, and keep in mind this area element will be always perpendicular to the surface. So just look at this diagram. Electric field and area element both are acting in a same direction. So theta in this case will be 0 because area element and electric field both are acting in a same direction. So theta will be 0. And this E dot is nothing but dot product of two vector quantity. So dot product of two vector quantity can be written as simply magnitude of first vector into magnitude of second vector and cosine of angle between these two, and angle between these two in this diagram is 0, so it will be cos 0 is equal to 1 upon epsilon naught times total charge enclosed in that Gaussian surface. So close integral E ds cos 0 is equal to 1 upon epsilon naught times charge q2. Here electric field is produced by that charge q2, which is a constant, so just take outside of this operator. So if we take outside this operator, integral operator, so you will get only ds or 1 upon epsilon naught times q2. So E ds is a small area element of this Gaussian surface. So if we add or if we sum up all these area element, so we will get complete surface area of this Gaussian surface. So this can be written as ds is equal to surface area 4 pi r square. So this one will be equal to E into 4 pi r square 1 upon epsilon naught times q2. If we calculate value of electric field E, so this indicates that electric field E is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught times q2 by r square. Let's consider this represent equation number 4. So if we put this value of electric field from equation number 4 into equation number 1, so from equation number 4 and from equation number 1. So from equation 1 and 4, so F is equal to Q1 multiplied by E, and F is equal to Q1 and E from equation number 4, which is found to be 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q2 by R square. So F is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught times Q1 Q2 by R square. So the above expression above expression of force is that Coulomb's law in electrostatics. So this equation is nothing but Coulomb's law of electrostatics. Okay, so thus we are able to deduce Coulomb's law from Gauss law. Now let me solve some numerical based on this Gauss law. So first numerical is this one. and electric flux of minus 6 into 10 power 3 Newton meter square per coulomb passes normally through a spherical Gaussian surface of radius 10 centimeter due to a point charge placed at the center. So now first part of this question, what is the charge enclosed by this Gaussian surface, and second part, if the radius of Gaussian surface is doubled, how much flux would pass through the surface. So start from first part. So electric flux is simply given by electric flux phi is given by Q upon epsilon naught, and we have to find this amount of charge. So cross multiply, Q is equal to electric flux multiplied by epsilon naught. So Q is equal to phi electric flux, and this electric flux is given by this amount, minus 6 into 10 power minus 10 power 3 and epsilon naught, which is a constant, and it is numerical value of this epsilon naught is equal to 8.85 into 10 power minus 12. So Q is equal to, now multiply 6 multiplied by 8.85, it will be minus 53.10 into 10 power minus 9 charge. So charge, unit of this charge will be coulomb. So this amount of charge will be enclosed in that Gaussian surface. This Gaussian surface will enclosed this amount of charge. So first part has been done. Now second part. If the radius of this Gaussian surface is doubled, how much flux would pass through the surface? Means in second case, if we increase the radius of this Gaussian surface, then what will be the amount of electric flux passing through this Gaussian surface? So keep in mind, this amount of electric flux is independent of the dimension or shape and size of the surface. So just remember this special point. Electric flux is independent of shape, size, dimension of Gaussian surface. Okay, so this electric flux is independent of shape, size and dimension of Gaussian surface. So therefore what will be the conclusion? Conclusion will be that amount of flux that will be remain same. So flux will be remain same. Electric flux will remain same. Okay, now second question. If electric flux is given by 6I cap plus 3J cap plus 4K cap, so calculate the electric flux through a surface area 20 units in XZ plane, which is very important question. So just note down all these values. First thing, first parameter which we have got here, electric field. So electric field is equal to 6I cap plus 3J cap plus 4K cap. Okay, electric flux through a surface area 20 unit in XZ plane. Okay, now tell me what will be the unit vector which is perpendicular to the xz plane. X axis, y axis and z axis. Now tell me which unit vector is perpendicular to this plane x and z. So perpendicular axis on xz plane will be y axis, and unit vector along this one is I cap, unit vector along y is j cap, and unit vector along z axis is k cap. So area vector ds is equal to how much? Only 20. But area, it is area element, it is a area vector quantity. So how to convert this scalar into vector? Just multiply by unit vector which is perpendicular to this plane. So xz plane, the normal unit vector which is perpendicular to xz plane, that is j cap. So 20 j cap, this is area vector. So electric flux, phi E is given by dot product of electric field and area vector. Electric field is equal to 6I plus 3J plus 4K cap dot ds, which is equal to only 20 J cap. So 20, now multiply I into j 0, j into j 1. So 3 into 20 60, j dot j which is equal to 1. So 60 j dot j is equal to 1. So electric flux will be equal to 60 unit.